Russia's invasion of Ukraine has put pressure and attention on the leader of the much smaller nation in this conflict, Ukrainian President Vlodymyr Zelenskyy, a novice politician only in his third year as president, now risking his life to lead a resistance that may prove Vladimir Putin underestimated him. The United States also did not expect this effective a resistance, we should note. They planned for much faster failure, which is why U.S. officials offered to help Zelenskyy flee before this expected invasion began. A perhaps understandable gesture that would have compromised Zelenskyy's current leadership of this resistance that we're now witnessing, as many citizens stay and fight right along with him. Zelenskyy famously quipped back to those offers of transit, quote, "I need ammunition, not a ride." And as the Western world unites against Russia, it is also rallying around this unlikely wartime leader with tributes and standing ovations from neighboring parliaments, as many experts and outsiders outright marvel at Zelenskyy's poise.
And Ukrainian President Zelenskyy making that impassioned plea to the U.S. today, calling for tougher measures against Putin.
Ukraine's Vlodymyr Zelenskyy has emerged as a hero in his nation and around the world.
President Zelenskyy, who I agree is emerging as an enormous example in leadership,
transformed from an American political footnote to the new face of freedom and defiance.
All that brings us to our special report for you right now. We're going to draw on archival video that's rarely seen in America and other reporting to show how Zelenskyy got here and his particular bond with the Ukrainian public. Zelenskyy showed courage and grit that has been rivaling really many leaders with decades more experience. This is a story that could be right out of a war novel or one of those movies with that plot line where one honest citizen proves to be a better leader than countless career politicians. Of course, this is reality, not some plot. People are getting killed right now, as you see, as we know. And yet this dramatic reality is also occurring in a very real way as an echo to the career that brought Zelenskyy the fame that he turned into his current job. You may have heard about this a little, but consider that before this war, Zelenskyy was mostly known as an affable actor, the relatable, regular, everyman comic, a path that he pursued with great success after getting a law degree. He never practiced that. Instead, he was in show business, going from punchlines to then the leading man in many Ukrainian rom-coms and other blockbuster movies. He even won Ukraine's version of Dancing with the Stars. He voiced Paddington Bear in Ukrainian. He was really kind of a Ukrainian Tom Hanks or Kevin Kline, which helped lead to his casting in the role that got him in the position that we all know him in right now. I mentioned that trope in fiction where the honest citizen, the good guy, is better than any politician. In America, we know it from movies like Dave, where Fluke lands an everyman Kevin Kline in the Oval Office, and his genuine qualities are able to kind of reboot the presidency. Or if you remember Head of State, where a regular dude played by Chris Rock runs for president and wins, a film that came out 5 years before Obama first won the White House. Now, I said Obama later won, right? Not Chris Rock, which would be a very different and quite real twist. Imagine if Chris Rock catapulted from that role to being our real president right now, because that's literally what happened for Zelenskyy. He was only previously known in his home country, like Chris Rock is here, as a funny actor. So as the whole world tries to make sense of this conflict, of Putin barreling into it and Zelenskyy just defiantly fighting back, and we all try to look and figure out what may come next, which could affect our lives a lot, well, it is worth understanding how, unlike most leaders across most history, this wartime leader, who evinces more poise and courage than so many, got here by playing president. So in this report, you're going to see exactly what so many Ukrainians saw. I'm about to show you this TV show where a Ukrainian history teacher goes off on a blunt rant about greed and corruption and political failures in that country and the region, which in the show went viral, leading to his political ascendance. Here is Zelenskyy playing that iconic role.
А почему наши политики каждый раз приходят к власти и совершают одни и те же ошибки? Да потому что они охуенные математики. Знают только, как отнимать, делить и приумножать свое. Вот и все.
Петрович, я сроду от тебя таких слов не слышал. Че ты завелся?
Есть, понимаешь? Теперь из двух пи***цев выбираем меньше. И так 25 лет подряд. Ты знаешь, что интересно? В этот раз ничего не поменяется. Знаешь почему? Потому что ты, мой батя, я, мы снова выберем пи***аса. Да потому что, да, понятно. Конечно, он пи***ас, да ну лучше его, те-то хуже. Так кто видел этот видеошедевр? Историк жжет. Просто порвала интернет и стала абсолютно не оправдывая себя из своего поступка. Наверняка мне не нужно было так, в общем, поступать.
Не знаю, мій батя сказав, що ви красава. І якби ви йшли в президенти, то він би за вас голосував.
Да.
Ну и мой тоже.
Мои батьки также большие. И мой тоже.
Единственное, радует, что они согласны с этой правдой.
Those fictional students tell their fictional teacher, Zelenskyy, that their fictional parents agree with the core of what he said. And in the show, soon he's running for president, learning the ropes.
Пані та панове, президент України. Так, пошли фанфари. Василий Петрович.
Да.
Че сидим-то? Выходим из лимузина. Выходим. Так, стоим здесь.
Да.
Носочки ровно. Глаза закрыли, открыли. Так лучше. Пойдем. Идем. Да. Здесь вас встречает командир почетного караула. Шановный пане президенты, бла-бла-бла. Жмете ему руку. Жмете.
Да.
Угу. Отлично. Идем дальше.
That scene, like those earlier American movies I mentioned, is played more for laughs there, but it's also populist in reminding viewers that democracy can mean regular people rule, not just rich, connected elites who were already at home in those kind of fancy, powerful scenes that are different than how most people, the governed, live their lives. That theme continues on his first day in office.
Ну, мам.
Сыночка, постой, полминуточки, спокойно.
Хорошо.
Поворотись-ка, сынку.
Физкуль, привет, гаранту.
Доброе утро.
Света, это все, что ты можешь сказать, Влад, в первый рабочий день.
Мы тебя выбрали, мы тебя, если что, и снимем.
Ну, это понятно. Мамуля, у меня нет времени. Где портфель?
Сейчас. Так, значит, это салатик, котлеточки и термос с борщиком. Потом принесешь все назад.
Мам, ну зачем это все? Я мог пообедать в центре.
В центре? Там все дорого.
Хорошо. Это все?
Сейчас. Самое главное.
Булавка зачем?
Булавочка от оппозиции. У них там у всех недобрый взгляд, чтоб не сглазили.
Ты мне еще осиновый кол положила.
Васенька, кстати, не руби там с плеча, находи общий язык с людьми. Может, я с тобой пойду?
Мамуль, я педагог, я разберусь.
Да уж разберись, сороковник скоро.
Санитарная зона!
Петя, иди скажи что-нибудь на дорожку сыну.
Не просри страну, сынок.
Есть. Батя, целую.
Yes, sir. Zelensky's character also confronts something familiar to anybody who knows would-be autocrats, a loser incumbent who won't leave. Now, this 2015 production is familiar because it's what autocrats try to do.
Ваш предшественник, он закрылся у себя в кабинете, никого не подпускает и речь, что он легитимный. Требует литр водки, блок сигарет и политическое убежище в Югославии.
Требую перевыбора, выбрали какого-то, блядь. Оставьте меня в покое! Страну, Юра!
Вызывайте спецназ.
Не надо спецназ. Можно я попробую?
Пожалуйста.
The scenes can be goofy, but they tackle the larger theme, the populist belief that honesty and common sense can work, that politics and governing doesn't need to be all deception and deals. The new president then applies that in breaking the impasse with what you saw there, the sore loser.
Не волнуйтесь, Аркадий Григорьевич. Я удержу высоко поднятую вами планку. Ведь на самом деле успех любого предприятия, как говорится, стоит на 3 китах. Это трудолюбие, честность и справедливость.
То я теперь спокоен. История нашей школы в надежных руках. Позвольте пожать одну из них.
С удовольствием.
Я спокійний, Україна в надійних руках.
That's a little fan fiction imagining Ukrainian bipartisanship, but Then the fans wanted to make the fiction real. They rallied around the idea that the real Zelenskyy could then run on a similar promise. He jumped into the race, and he didn't pivot, as the operatives say. He really embraced a lot of what he was known for in that fiction. He named his new party after the show, calling it Servant of the People, and he emphasized that the script would become a real plan and that he was taking obligations seriously.
Це не фейк, і я дуже серйозно відношусь до нашої країни, до життя кожної людини.
Ukraine's politics have long been saddled by interference from oligarchs and foreign pressure. It was a popular uprising that ousted the nation's previous pro-Putin leader, and the show imagined a popular uprising that would have unity, dreaming up that maybe 2/3 of voters would back change.
Здрасте.
Василий Петрович Голобородько?
Да.
Доброе утро, господин президент.
Результатом 67% перемогу здобув кандидат Голобородько Василь Петрович.
Отож, сенсаційно і вперше в історії України главою держави стає простий вчитель із Києва Василь Петрович.
Candidates love big majorities. When it came to the real race, the ex-actor actually did even better than the character, winning 73%, arriving at his real inauguration on foot and saying he would focus on results, not glory, that he was not seeking fame through this job, a claim which is more credible when it comes from someone who was already so famous.
Щоб у ваших кабінетах не було моїх зображень. Не було, будь ласка, моїх портретів, бо президент не ікона, не ідол. Президент – це не портрет. Повісьте туди фотографії своїх дітей. І перед кожним рішенням дивіться їм в очі.
The real president there hitting that same populist note. And his unusual path may speak to the apparent bond and credibility he has with his people right now, fighting for their lives, and to a certain grit and perspective that this man apparently brought to politics rather than forging his own priorities through a long career in politics. And there are certainly limits, too. What works for the leadership or inspiration here may not overcome a huge gap in fighting this larger military power on their border. And while Americans may be learning more about this conflict right now, it's long been the main concern in Ukraine foreign policy. At that same inaugural speech, listen to how Zelenskyy rebukes past Russian incursions. He did that, drawing a standing ovation, and listen to how he shows a clear sense that any shot at this nation's survival may soon require a fight.
Мене часто питали, а на що ви готові заради припинення вогню? Дивне питання. А на що готові ви, українці, заради життя близьких вам людей? Я точно не боюсь приймати складні рішення, готовий втратити свою посаду, щоб тільки настав мир.
Zelenskyy now leads this resistance, risking everything. We have a special guest on all of this when we're back in 1 minute.